Greetings, my dears, in love and light. Nikki Sutton here. Who are the mirrors in your life, and are they helpful or harmful to you? Now, this is such a useful concept for inner work, and it'll go in my inner work playlist, which you can play through and it'll help you do your inner work. So, what are mirrors in our life? Right, mirrors are people we look to for a reaction, for validation, and that tells us how we're doing. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing how good looking do I look today. It's how am I doing in reality, and their reaction tells us so. So let me give you an example. My daughter might draw a picture and she'll put lots of effort into it, and then look to me, she'll show me and look to me for a reaction. Now, if I react and say, oh, well done, that's a really good picture, that's so good, she will be like, oh, I've done a good job, it was worthwhile making this picture, I've done a good thing. Now, if I am like, oh, whatever, or go away, then she'll be like, oh, it was futile making this picture, there was no point, and maybe I'm a bit worthless because she just wants me to go away. She has looked to me for a reaction and validation, and that has contributed to how she feels about herself and what she does in reality, and if it's worthwhile or not. So that's mirroring. I've been a mirror for her. So that's a good example of why good mirroring is helpful as a parent. Now, as a child, you may have received all kinds of mirroring, depending on what your parents were like. They may have mirrored to you that you were super amazing all the time, and this is what millennials are like, where all their mirroring was extremely positive and gratifying no matter what. So that's why millennials often have the reputation of being a bit sensitive and also expecting everyone to pander to them. So that's where there's been a lot of overcompensation in that generation. So the mirroring was overly positive from the parent. So then there's negative mirroring, where no matter what you do, the parents just show you that you're useless and it's futile, everything you're doing, or they just ignore you, so that mirrors to you that you're worthless, things like that. Or there's a good balance of mirroring, where it's truthful and honest, but helpful and positive and kind. Now that's wonderful mirroring, because there's positive, constructive criticism where it's needed, but it's kind and reinforcing and encouraging, and that's perfect mirroring. It's helpful mirroring, and it helps the child to know where it stands in reality, that it's doing a good job when the child is performing behaviours that are kind, loving, helpful, constructive, creative, intelligent. It's all good. It's all motivating and helps steer the child to do better in terms of, constructing a happy reality for them, giving them all the tools they need to do so. Now, mirroring in adulthood, okay, we're always, everyone's a mirror, alright? So my best friend's a mirror, my partner's a mirror, my mum's a mirror, my children are mirrors, So, for me, how my children react to my behaviours gives me some kind of idea of how I'm doing as a parent. My partner, how he reacts to my behaviours, gives me some idea of how I'm doing as a person. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, oh, I must always judge myself by what others react to me. No, this is a subconscious thing that we all do automatically. It just happens. And the upshot of it really is that we need to be our own mirror largely, but I'll get there. Okay, so I will see from people that I interact with. So I used to be a bit hard on myself, and I'd have a social interaction with someone, and I'd be hard on myself because I'd feel like, was I socially acceptable? Did I say the right thing? And what I'd do is I'd think about their reaction, which was my mirror. How did they react to me? Because that tells me how I did. And if I would pick holes in it and be very hard on myself and think, oh God, maybe they thought I was an idiot, maybe they thought I was a prat, and I looked too much for validation from other mirrors, and that's what I'm getting to. So when you look too much to people for your mirroring, it can show a lack of confidence, because you're relying so much on other people's reactions for your own validation and confidence that it shows that you can't validate yourself. And when someone mirrors incorrectly, it can really knock you down. So for example, in that social interaction, what if I was interacting with someone I'd just met who was an unkind person who wanted to make me feel like crap, and they criticised me unnecessarily or was unkind unnecessarily, and I would put too much weight on their response, and therefore I would take it to heart and think I had done very badly in that interaction. I would think unnecessarily and wrongly that I'd done something very wrong. So that's an example of a bad mirror. Like the parent being a bad mirror, go away. It's an untruthful mirror. This leads me on to good and bad mirrors super quick. Okay, so a bad mirror. I always classify bad mirrors as someone being unqualified to be a mirror and someone who's being an untruthful mirror. So an untruthful mirror might be like the example of the generation who parented the millennials. So everything the child did was good and fine no matter what they did, even if it was bad behaviour. So that's an untruthful mirror. So another untruthful mirror might be an overly critical boss. So no matter what you do, it's never good enough, because they want results. So I'm going to criticise to get these people to work harder. So that's an untruthful mirror, and you end up feeling like crap. So untruthful mirrors arise when the person has other motivations and they're trying to get something out of you, like the parent who's trying to have their child feel very, very supported and loved and overcompensating, and then the boss who is trying to get sales results and overcompensating. So then, as well as the untruthful mirror, the unqualified mirror. So oftentimes parents are unqualified mirrors. Now imagine the parent who is saying you're never good enough, try harder. Okay, so they don't usually say you're never good enough, but you know what I mean. You never feel like you're good enough. There's never any well done. It's always, okay, you've done that, but do this and do this better. Now that can be an unqualified mirror, because that parent may be unqualified to be a good parent, because in their experience, their parents parented them like that. They were never good enough, so it's passing it on to the child that they are never good enough. That's the style of parenting. They're unqualified to be a good parent because they've not had parenting lessons, and that style of parenting has not been removed from their psyche. So their background dictates that that's how you parent, in a very harsh and negative way to get good results. So oftentimes when we've had extreme mirrors that have been ultra negative or way too positive, it's because the mirror, the person, is unqualified to be your mirror, and they're being a pretty poor mirror. Here's another unqualified mirror. Let's say we enter a relationship with someone who is very unkind to us. Let's say they bring us down all the time and make us feel this big. Now, and we're looking to them for validation and love. Now, they're an unqualified mirror because they're obviously traumatised. They've had a backstory where someone has been unkind to them in some way. So in order to make themselves feel better or have control in this relationship, they will make you feel this big. So they're not qualified to be your mirror because they are not balanced themselves. So they're a bad mirror. So a good mirror is one that is helpful, kind, and with constructive criticism, if criticism is needed. Okay, so it's a balanced, centered, helpful mirror in your life, and that's a good mirror. If it's not a good mirror, then don't pay attention to that mirror because it's untruthful or it's unqualified. Okay, so then we need to replace the bad mirrors. If they're in your life a lot, let's say a partner, so you can either communicate with them about how that's making you feel as a result of their actions, And if nothing changes, you've got to think about your boundaries. Do I want to remain in a relationship where someone acts like this? So you can either block them off so they're not your mirror anymore, but a partner is often a mirror by default because they're your life partner. So you need to think, well, is this the right person for me? If they won't provide better mirroring, at least the same standard of mirroring that you provide them, are they a good partner for me? If they're contributing to your sadness in that way. And then if you have parents, for example, that are overly critical, so they're mirroring that you're not doing well or you're not good enough a lot, then explain to them your boundaries again. I can't take all this criticism. Can I have constructive criticism, please? Or just lay off a bit. Explain to them how you feel, and hopefully they will understand. And then there's healing. So the concept of knowing about your mirrors is helping you to heal. So you need to look back at the mirrors in your life and decide whether they were qualified to be a mirror or a bad mirror. So let's say you had a parent that always was very negative towards you in some way. It can help you to understand and have forgiveness, and forgiveness releases a lot. That's a lot towards inner work, by understanding that this person was a bad mirror, unqualified mirror, and understanding why, so that you can forgive them. It's because they had probably a sad backstory themselves. So look for that understanding to lead to forgiveness, for forgiving your bad mirrors in your past. And then look at your parenting. How are you mirroring for your children? Is it excessively positive, or is it excessively negative, or is it kind, helpful, balanced, constructive in the middle? Okay, and think about the effect that that's having. And what we want to ultimately work towards is being our own mirror. And can you see how you can do that? Is instead of looking to others for validation on how we're doing, so am I socially acceptable? Am I loving enough? Am I helpful enough? Am I intelligent enough? Or anything like this. You be the judge of that. And by consciously recognising that you can be the judge of that, it removes this dependence on others for your emotional validation. So if in a social situation you're feeling like you didn't do a good enough job, don't worry about their reaction. Am I doing a good enough job? And weigh it up yourself. Am I intelligent enough to be able to go for this job? Weigh it up yourself. Don't rely on what others have said or mirrored for you. If you're looking back in your past and say you've got trouble with manifesting money or abundance, look at what was mirrored for you in the past. Was I told that I didn't deserve it? Did I not have control over my own reality so that I don't feel I have control over my reality now? What were they mirroring for you and telling you what you were like and how to feel and what to believe? And then you can go back and unpick that and then be your own mirror. I choose that I am good enough. I choose that I'm going to work on my confidence. I choose that I have control and autonomy over my life. Okay, so what the mirror said, you can question that and be your own mirror and decide for yourself. So please leave me and others a comment on what you think about this concept of mirroring, what mirrors you've had in your life before or even now. And don't forget to click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to receive regular spiritual inspiration on your journey through life. Like and share also, because we're raising the mass vibration together. So go now in love and peace.